Hey guys, welcome to You Don't Know Ball. Today we're going to be looking at Charles Davis's mock draft 1.0. If you don't know who Charles Davis is, he is with NFL Network, NFL.com. He is the voice of one of the announcers in Madden, so I am willing to bet you do actually know who he is. As always, if you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft. As always, let's look if he has any preferences for this draft. So he says, we have another big piece of the puzzle to evaluate with the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine in the books, but the start of free agency will soon shake up the outlook again. Free agency starts in a week from today is when the window is actually open to sign agents. The tampering window opens up on Monday, and he said he's not including any trade projections in my first mock draft, although we know teams will make those deals. I do have 5 quarterbacks coming off the board in the first round that might surprise some people, but I won't be shocked if we see a 6 go in round 1, including Washington, Michael Penix Jr. All right. So at number 1, we have Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears. Honestly, it just makes too much sense. Everything that's being talked about all leads to Williams being number 1. At number 2, we have Jaden Daniels to the Washington Commanders. So this has been a trend that I have been seeing more recently, that Drake May is going to be the 3rd quarterback off the board. Honestly, I personally would take Drake May over Jaden Daniels, but I understand the upside to taking a player like Daniels. I think you're going to get a more instant impact in the NFL than you would get with Drake May. I just think long-term, Drake May will probably be the better option. He says, we all seem very confident the Commanders will select a quarterback here. New head coach Dan Quinn's defensive background might tilt the pick to Daniels, the best dual-threat QB in the draft. His ability to make plays with his arm and legs drives DC crazy. I understand, and I get that. I also just think May is probably a little bit of a better passer. So at number 3, we have the New England Patriots taking Drake May. Makes a lot of sense. New regime, new coaches. They don't have a quarterback. They have Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. If you trot that out next year, I think all New England fans are going to rip their eyeballs out. At number 4, we have the Arizona Cardinals drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver 1 on the board. Easiest pick in the draft if you're sitting here. You could also look at Alt, which I happened to do in my mock draft madness yesterday. Self-promo, self-plug. I'm doing a mock draft every single day up until the draft, so go check that series out. We have a spreadsheet with all the ADP. But Marvin Harrison Jr. here is the easy choice for the Cardinals. At number 5, we have the Los Angeles Chargers taking Rome Odunze. So the Rome Odunze wide receiver 2 propaganda is beginning, because I think there was already talks about, who's better, him or Neighbors. I personally am more of a Neighbors guy. I think Rome is a great player, but I would bank on Neighbors a little bit more, having more success in the NFL just because of the way he plays. But you cannot go wrong here with Rome Odunze, and because he competed in the Combine and Malik Neighbors did not, I believe that will push him up a little bit on some boards. And then you give Justin Herbert another weapon. At number 6, we have the New York Giants selecting J.J. McCarthy. So everything I'm hearing from Eisen and other reporters is basically saying that the Giants are done with Daniel Jones. They should have been done with Daniel Jones before they give him that massive contract. And I understand you can pretty much cut him after this year, but you're still on the hook for money. Maybe the idea is you draft Daniel Jones, and here's what he actually says. He says what I'm about to say. He might very well sit behind Daniel Jones in 2024 before getting the ball in 2025. That is the option. My worry for JJ is not that he can't be an NFL quarterback. He has the arm talent. He has that leadership mentality. He has all of that. But if you watch some of the drills at the Combine, I did not love his accuracy. Now, we saw Dable fixed Josh Allen's accuracy in Buffalo. He was the mastermind behind that. So maybe the idea is bring in J.J. McCarthy, let him sit behind Daniel Jones for a year, let's develop him, and then we have our quarterback of the future. At number 7, this is kind of crazy. Joe Alt falls to the Tennessee Titans. And honestly, Tennessee could not be more happy. Being able to pair Joe Alt with Peter Skronsky is a big addition to that O-line. Andre Dillard, I don't know why the Titans signed him. I know they needed a guy, but I hated that contract. Now, you have a blind side protector for Will Levis that you know will be a stud. At number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking Dallas Turner. He was a freak at the Combine. Dallas Turner would be a great addition to Raheem Morris's Falcons. And they already had a really good defense last year. Imagine adding such an explosive young edge to that mix. At number 9, we have the Chicago Bears taking Malik Neighbors. So if Malik Neighbors is able to fall to 9 for the Bears, they need to sprint in the card. If they are able to get Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors out of the first round, you win. Also, go get a wide receiver 3 in free agency, and you have all these weapons for Caleb Williams and Shane Waldron, the new OC, to work with. I would love to go get Hollywood Brown. I think you can get him for probably like $12, $13 million a year. Malik Neighbors, Hollywood Brown, DJ Moore. That is a good receiving threat. At number 10, we have the New York Jets taking Talise Fuaga. As time has went on, Olu has fell so much, and Fuaga has seemed to be OT2 in a lot of these drafts. So I think with going forward, the Jets really need to OT. If Joe Alt is gone, I think Talise Fuaga is the pick. At number 11, we have Jared Verse to the Minnesota Vikings. Makes a lot of sense. Verse is probably OT2. I think Latu has kind of cemented himself as edge. I don't know why I said OT2. I meant edge 2. Edge 3. I think people are kind of in that dogfight between Jared Verse and Dallas Turner now. I am a little bit more of a Verse guy personally, but it's all kind of flavor. And I think replacing Danielle Hunter with the Minnesota Vikings, replacing Danielle Hunter on the Minnesota Vikings with Jared Verse is not a bad switch. At number 12, we have the Denver Broncos taking Bo Nix. So he said this might be a surprise to some at 12, but it's not a surprise that Broncos head coach Sean Payton could be interested in a passer whose accuracy in his last 2 college seasons was reminiscent of Drew Brees. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the pick of Bo Nix here. I know he's not doing trades, but if you're going to take Bo Nix, you take him later in the first round. You don't take him at 12 because I don't think any teams are really like super, super high on him, or at least not what I have heard. I haven't heard any reports, chatter, anything like that. But if Denver is on the board here at 12 and 4 quarterbacks are already off the board, Bo Nix is probably a good option. I prefer Penix to Nix if we're going to, go for that 5th or 6th quarterback. I would really prefer Penix, but I understand why Bo Nix would work better in a Sean Payton system. At number 13, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking CB1 off the board in Teran Arnold. I think Teran Arnold is going to be a stud in the NFL. He's so young, and just the way he plays, I love his combine and his interviews. So I think Teran Arnold will be a great addition to any team that needs him, and the Raiders need a cemented CB1. I think Teran Arnold can be that for them. At number 14, we have the New Orleans Saints taking Olu Fashanu. Honestly, for the Saints, Olu falling and possibly being OT3 is probably the best case scenario for them. You get an incredible pass blocker. Obviously, he needs to work on his game in the run game, but obviously with the issues with Ryan Ramczyk, Trevor Penning, all that stuff, you need a replacement. And the fact that if Fuaga is truly going to be OT2, getting the 3rd tackle off the board at 14 is awesome. At number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking Quinyon Mitchell. So the more and more I hear about the Colts, the more and more I think that they're going to take a corner with their first pick. They could even trade back a little bit because depending on how the board falls, I know that there's like probably a top 3 corners. It's Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Teran Arnold. And you can really rate those how you want. That's how I'm kind of looking at the corner class. I don't think it has a dominant number 1 corner in this class. And I think Quinyon Mitchell will be a great addition to the Colts defense. At number 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking Byron Murphy II. So they need interior line help. Troy Fontanu, Graham Barton, Jackson Powers-Johnson would all be good plays here. But taking Byron Murphy on the interior would be disgusting for that defensive line. And when you see Mike McDonald, who's coming from Baltimore, where Justin Madubuike just had a huge year, maybe you try to find a way to get an instant impact on that interior of the defensive line with Byron Murphy. At number 17, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Brian Thomas Jr. So if Calvin Ridley is to walk in free agency, which I think there is a chance that he does, Brian Thomas Jr. giving Trevor Lawrence a huge, fast weapon would be deadly. Putting him next to Evan Ingram, who I love, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, that is a recipe for success. And don't forget, you have Travis Etienne in the backfield. My only issue would be play calling, and I guess my thing with the Jaguars is sometimes they will create holes for themselves. Like, they could have just re-signed Calvin Ridley, and you wouldn't have to worry about drafting a receiver. Obviously, you need more receiver help, but you don't have to use it in the first round when there are other players you can need. You could take a Jackson Powers-Johnson here to fix up that interior, but it's just like whenever the Jags will like cut somebody and then like try to fill that position with a draft pick, it's like, well, you could have just probably re-signed that guy. And I don't really know how the Jags conduct their business. It's kind of weird to me. At number 18, we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking J.C. Latham. If J.C. Latham is here on the board for Cincinnati, I think it's a great pick. You put him on the opposite side of Orlando Brown Jr., and now you have two massive tackles. J.C. Latham is massive, and he's a better pass protector than he is a run blocker. But in my opinion, with how much the Bengals throw the ball, that's kind of works in your favor here. And I think J.C. Latham has a really, really high floor. Not to say he can't bust, I just think he has a very low chance of it because of how fluid and patient he looks at the line. At number 19, I had this pick in my mock draft yesterday. At Los Angeles Rams, taking Laiatu Latu, edge 3. I think, you could Byron Young, who they found later, and Kobe Turner. You got young edges, and you supplement that with Laiatu Latu, who is probably one of the most polished pass rushers in this draft. Obviously, the medical history is scary, but you always win in the trenches, offensive and defensive trenches. And you get a guy like Latu in there who hasn't really, ever since the injury, hasn't really had any concerns since then. I think you are probably taking a safe bet on one of the top edge rushers in this class, and I really like that for the Rams. At number 20, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Marius Mims. I like this pick a lot. I know that some people won't because of Mims' kind of injury and inexperience. And, you hit on Broderick Jones last year, in my opinion. And if you pair him up with the tackle on the other side in Marius Mims, who is extremely athletic, you then have two very young tackles protecting Kenny Pickett or whoever's going to be playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He says it here. I expect Steelers brass to consider center Jackson Powers-Johnson here too. I agree. I don't think he probably falls too much farther. At number 21, they have Charles Davis has the Miami Dolphins taking Brock Bowers. I have never seen Brock Bowers go here, and I don't honestly see Brock Bowers getting past the Bengals, but this is an interesting spot. They do need a tight end. You put Brock Bowers with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The more and more I look at this pick, the more and more I like it. Do I think it's likely? No. But I heard Brock Bowers actually interviewed very poorly at the Combine, and that could push him down the board a little bit, and it could fall right into the Miami Dolphins' laps. I think if this is my train I'm on with the Dolphins. Do not re-sign Tua to a massive contract. Draft Michael Penix Jr. and roll. Like, you can get Michael Penix Jr. in like the second round. I don't know if that pick is forfeited, but trade up into the back of the first again and get Michael Penix Jr. having 5 years. I would like that a lot. I think that would make a lot of sense for them. At number 22, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Chop Robinson. I like this pick because Chop is a super, super explosive defender. We saw that at the Combine. Very quick first step. And with the experience on the Eagles D-line, he could learn a lot. I think that's a big thing with Chop is he's still really raw. So if you put him around a room full of veterans and just allow him to not be that first edge, like he's not going to be edge one in that locker room. Allow him to develop as a secondary guy. I think you are making a recipe for success, and Howie Roseman cooks once again. At number 23, we have the Houston Texans taking Nate Wiggins. So here's my opinion on Nate Wiggins, at least. I like Nate Wiggins, and I like the idea of putting a cornerback next to Derek Stingley Jr. and on that defense. But I think Jer'Zhan Newton may have been a better pick here because of the interior. And Wiggins, to me, I don't know if Wiggins is a first-round pick. We saw how athletic he is, but he's small, man. He's like 173. Like, we saw Emmanuel Forbes get bullied, and I just don't know, based on size alone, if I could take him in the first. I like the idea of putting a corner on this Houston Texans team across from Derek Stingley Jr., but I just don't know if Wiggins is going to be that guy for them. At number 24, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking Tyler Guyton. Home run pick, like it a lot. Tyron Smith is leaving in free agency. He's a little bit older. Tyler Guyton is 6'7". He is massive. We know the Cowboys like to take big swings, and Tyler Guyton is exactly that. And if he pans out, you have a gigantic blindside protector to protect Dak for the foreseeable future. At number 25, we have the Green Bay Packers taking Troy Fontanu. I like this pick a lot because Fontanu can play tackle. I think it's Fautanu. Fautanu can play tackle, but he can also play all the interior positions. So if you take him, you have versatility, and we know the Packers love taking interior, or just not interior, but just linemen in the first round, whether that's defensive linemen, offensive linemen. Honestly, the best way to build your team is through the trenches, and they have always had pretty good trenches. So Troy to the Packers makes a lot of sense. Very, very, very talented player who is very versatile. At number 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Jackson Powers-Johnson. Ryan Jensen retired. Makes a lot of sense. You have your left tackle, you have your right tackle, so now you're going to fix up the interior, and I think Jackson Powers-Johnson can do anything for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Great pick by Charles Davis here. At number 27, we have the Arizona Cardinals taking Koolaid McKinstry. I don't know how I feel about this pick. I don't think CB is like the wrong area to go. I think they could really go anywhere here. But I just don't love Koolaid in the first round. I don't know why. I just have a feeling he's not a first round corner. And the more and more, like, because you got to think about it. Okay, coming into the year, he was probably maybe like the number one corner in the class. And while I will say he hasn't like fallen based on like anything he's done, he's fallen because other players have just performed better. And it's like you kind of hoped that he might have improved. And I'm not saying he didn't improve this year, but it just doesn't. I'm just not a fan of Koolaid in the first round, and especially to the Cardinals, who have a real opportunity to build really, really good, like really good foundation through this draft with 2 first-round picks. I don't know if Koolaid would be the answer here with your second. I don't know who else you'd go. I would need to see like the draft board on who's still available, but overall, don't love it. At number 28, we have the Buffalo Bills taking Adonai Mitchell. I like this pick a lot. I would almost take I would take Brian Thomas Jr. over Adonai Mitchell. I know Adonai Mitchell looked really, really smooth and fast at the combine. My issue with Mitchell is I don't know if he gives 100% on every play, and it doesn't really matter 100% of the time. But I think Brian Thomas Jr. is probably a better option here at 28 if he's available and Adonai Mitchell are available. At number 29, we have the Detroit Lions taking Zach Frasier. Honestly, great pick. You have to replace your guards. You have to replace your centers at some point. And Frasier is probably the second best center in the class. So if you want to go Frasier here, I know both their guards are free agent, but I don't know. He totally fits where the Lions are seeking in their O-line. It helps the offense stay elite. If the Lions value defense more here, expect them to consider upgrading their secondary. I don't know if Ragnar's a free agent, though. And I think Frasier is pretty much just a center. I don't think he's going to play guard. So I like the idea of Frasier as a center, but if they're trying to have him play guard, I don't know. At the Baltimore Ravens, number 30, we have Darius Robinson. They bring back Justin Madubuike on the tag. You have a guy that can play the interior and the edge in Darius Robinson. Very competitive guy. I like the pick a lot. I think this would fit the Ravens. I think he would fit their culture a lot. So good pick here by the Baltimore Ravens. At number 31, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking Ennis Rakestraw Jr. He had a horrible RAS score from the combine, but I also think Rakestraw Jr. is just one of those tough physical guys who he may embody the idea of I'm not a test taker, I play football, even though if they are football tests on the field, he didn't grade that well. And the San Francisco 49ers really, really do need cornerback help. And he says Duke center Graham Barton also feels like a possibility here. I agree. I think, you can go interior O-line or even like Jordan Morgan to replace McKivitz on the right side. So not a bad pick. I think cornerback and O-line is really where they need to look here. At number 31, we have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Xavier Worthy. I think, obviously, Xavier Worthy is going to fly out draft boards because of his 4.21, but at the end of the day, like, I know it was fast, but we already knew Xavier Worthy was fast. Like, we knew before the combine that Xavier Worthy was fast. So I don't know why this would make that much of a difference. Now, I think he's on teams' radar a little bit more because of it, but that's just what happens when you run that fast. And I don't think he's a first-round pick unless the Chiefs take him. Any other team, I think it would be a reach, but I think the Chiefs, what they've done with speed would be incredible. You have Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. I don't love the receiving room, but I think they go make a splash, possibly in free agency, and get like a second-tier type of guy. So overall, I did like this mock draft from Charles Davis. As always, if you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft. We appreciate you guys so much for watching. We're building the channel every day. Have a great rest of your day.